Hey, what is going on, y'all? Welcome in to a brand new episode of Real Friends. If this is your first time, welcome. You're about to have your mind blown with some excellent movie content. If it's your recurring guest, well, welcome back. You know, we love you. My name is T-Bob Abear. To my immediate left is seated our youthful yet wise member, Mr. Nathan Velasquez.
Hello.
And now I realize I have to come up with an intro for
I was
Rivers.
about to say, man, what are you going to do here? And you're going to really drop the ball.
The most witty and best-looking member of the group, Miss Rivers Huey, to the far left.
Oh, set the bar high.
Yeah,
I'm wittier than Rivers. I'm not good looking, though.
Nathan does have a good dry wit.
Yes, no, Nathan's definitely wittier, so we know you're lying.
That's what I have. That is my thing.
I feel like I
That's
always talk about Rivers being the prettiest of the group, and like obviously that's the case. Me and Nathan aren't maybe the best looking of individuals, so I was trying to come up with something different.
I feel like you're the most people savvy of all of us.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would definitely
the old
agree with
people
that.
savvy Rivers.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't sound too good.
Does that sound bad? I'd like to
Doesn't
be
sound
people
bad.
savvy.
No, it's good. Maybe there's a more complimentary way of
I'm sure there
saying
is.
it. The most tactful member of the, or socially adept? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
This is
welcome to Real
burning
Friends.
down.
It feels like it's a bit off the rails. We have been, so we did our morning radio show.
We're all hopped up.
We did our post-show show.
Yeah, it's been a busy day.
We are now doing our Real Friends podcast. Everybody's had a lot of coffee.
But they were kind enough to do this for me today. We normally would do this on the weekend, but I was not feeling so great yesterday.
Looked like a character out of one of these movies.
Yes, I... my eyes were swollen shut.
I'm sorry. That was probably. I mean, that was bad.
That was bad.
That was funny. That was funny.
Yes, the allergies and the weather change. I don't know what the whole deal was, but
Yeah, it got you down a little
It got me down, and so
I was very congested.
not
last
that I
week.
look a whole lot better today, but I feel a lot better today.
I didn't
so.
mind. I mean, it let me play more Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I figured.
Which, yeah,
I was able to watch Branded to Kill a second time. To get it
You
more.
did not watch.
You went
Brandon
for it.
Kill
Watch it
a
a second
Did
time.
you really?
I did.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, we'll have to get into that then because what? It's shocking to me. But before we get into our three movies, which we should mention are Yakuza movies, we did Branded to Kill, Tokyo Drifter, and Outrage. Three different eras, even though it felt like Outrage kind of modern day. The other one's kind of a bit more in the past. Nathan will have our exact years. But before we get into our movies of this week, what have y'all been watching?
Oh, I forgot
recently?
that we do this segment.
I know,
What have you been watching?
Yeah.
I'll talk for the third time today about what I've been watching.
Yep, there you go.
I've been watching Everything Sucks this weekend on Netflix. It is a Netflix original show about the 90s. So basically, if you've ever seen Freaks and Geeks, it's very similar. But
So it is. I mean, because that is the tagline.
It
is
is-
it actually? Does it actually evoke the feelings of a Freaks and Geeks? Kind of?
I think that it does. It does because I think both were set in the 90s. Freaks and Geeks was set in the 90s, right? Or was it 80s?
No. Freaks and Geeks was like Dazed and Confused. I want to say like 70s or 80s because
Okay.
the kids were always playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, yeah.
What's his name? Jason Segel was super into Rush and Neil Peart.
So this was then this was very, very similar except for the kids. It was the 90s.
Yeah.
These three boys are going into high school. It's like their first day, and then the season follows along their first year in high school. And it was a lot of fun. It was
You finished it?
I finished it.
Oh, wow.
Which I rarely do that quickly, but the nostalgia of it was really. It was just fun for me to watch.
Nice.
I said this before, but especially for someone that grew up in the 90s and kind of like towards the later end of the 90s, you watch a lot of 90s movies. And now I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you watch them and you're like, oh yeah, I remember like people wearing a lot of jean jackets and like being into Nirvana and like the whole deal. But I wasn't that age. Like those were people who were older than me.
Yeah, that was my oldest sister.
Yeah,
My oldest
so I
sister's
relate
6
to
years.
it
She was
'cause-
super grunge.
Right. So I remember it. So it is, I relate to it, but this was like me.
This was like
This
if
was-
you were a little kid during the 90s,
Yeah,
you
I
should
mean,
appreciate
I want to
this
say
more.
these kids probably would have been like maybe 4 or 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I very much remember all the clothes and the games and the sayings and everything. So it was a lot of fun to watch. The acting was, it was okay. I mean, they weren't Stranger Things kids. But
Man, they really did knock it out of the park with
the
Stranger
lead
Things.
character, the lead guy in this show is really good. And then there's a girl, the lead girl. I think she does a pretty good job. But otherwise, I mean, it's just, I don't think the kids are supposed to be, I mean, they're just supposed to be having fun.
What's the name of the show again?
Everything Sucks.
Everything Sucks. All right, I'm going to have to put that on my list. You
I
been
wouldn't,
watching
I'd
anything
say
else?
there's probably stuff you might watch before it. But
Well,
like,
but I'm with you.
But it's
See,
pretty
it
good.
looks
It's
good.
good.
It looks
But
good.
You can watch
also-
it quickly. It's 20-minute episodes. Like
I'm with you in that I think that the main draw for me is probably going to be the mainlining of nostalgia.
you're gonna hear these songs and you're gonna see like the clothes and the stuff that they're doing, and you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Okay, I am kind of excited for that. Nathan, how old were you in 1996?
I was born in January of 1996, so that was my first. That was when I went through my 7 months, 8 months, 16 weeks.
So in
phase.
Everything Sucks, Nathan is just a little baby.
Yeah, I'm the one in the crib crying. I might interrupt every now and then.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Nathan, you been watching anything else, Rivers?
That was it. I mean,
right.
that took a lot. I watched all of it, so I'm done.
Yeah, that's true.
Which
All right,
is
Nathan.
sad.
What about you?
I went to see.
Branded to Kill Twice.
Yeah, I watched a few Japanese gangster movies, and then I also watched Three Billboards again, which I think might be. I'm kind of rooting for that to take the best picture.
Okay, because that's a bit of a change from
I guess
you.
next time we do this, the Oscars will have ended.
And here, just move that mic just up a little bit right there. Okay, yeah, there we go. Get a little more fuller voice there.
How's that?
Oh yeah, no, see
Whoa,
that sounds like
listen to
yeah,
that
that's
voice.
cool. That sounds way better.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, Three Billboards took home didn't it do the best at the Golden Globes? Didn't it take home Best Picture?
Yeah, I forget what won at the Golden Globes. It won the the British Oscars were last night, and it won
Three
pretty
Billboards.
much. Yes.
All right,
yes,
I got to
yes.
see it. If I had if I had to choose one to see, and I'm going to see more than one, but if I had to see one out of Call Me by Your Name, Three Billboards, and then any of the other nominees, which would you choose?
I mean, Shape of Water and Three Billboards, I think, are the.
I've seen Shape of Water, so I'm good there.
Three Billboards looks like one, and Lady Bird you would have to watch because those are going to take.
So I guess
some
that
awards.
would be the three: Call Me by Your Name, Lady Bird, and Three Billboards. Is that a good three to
I mean,
make
I
sure that I
love
see?
Call Me by Your Name. I don't think that's going to be taking any awards.
Really?
Yeah.
My mom, after I saw Lady Bird, I told my mom, I was like, oh, you're really going to like it. You should go watch it. It reminds me, the mom and the daughter remind me a lot of us. And I didn't mean exactly. I just meant
did she
some
see
of
it?
the general interactions remind me of my mom and I. And so my dad texted me and was like, yeah, so your mom wants to go, and he's seen it, I think. And so he's like, yeah, she wants to go and see how bad you were talking about her. And I was like, no. And then I realized, I was like, that probably wouldn't have come off very...
My favorite part
as
is
a
with the
compliment.
dress when they're talking about the dress.
But that's
and
how
they're
we
fighting,
are.
and then she says, "Look at this dress," and he goes, "Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful."
That is exactly how I am with my mom. So I mean, she may watch it and not love that, but sorry, Julie, that's who we are.
Yeah, sorry, Julie. Well, yeah, I mean, and you love your mom, like.
Yeah.
So, oh wait, damn it, never mind. I was gonna make fun of you for not knowing where your mom's from, but
Nope.
That's me.
that was
That's
Nathan.
me.
Damn it, I forgot. Nathan, you been watching anything else?
I mean, I watched a few other things, but I mean, we.
Like, okay. I mean, anything.
He watches
anything
4
that
movies
you
per
would,
weekend.
Yeah, I know. Nathan do be getting down on the movies.
I love that though.
Anything else that you think is worth mentioning?
No, I got a subscription to Filmstruck, which is a streaming service that y'all know TCM.
Yes, Turner Classic Movies.
Turner Classic
Oh,
Movies.
yeah.
That
Yes.
and the Criterion Collection. It streams all of their stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty
Is
cool.
it stuff that you wouldn't be able to find on other streaming?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Netflix has a terrible selection for
Netflix
classic
has
movies.
such a bad
So
selection for
that's
that.
like all that TCM has.
Okay.
So I can go there to get like the old black and white movies.
Yeah.
I watched like a Peter Sellers movie I had never even heard of before. It was pretty cool. It's a cool streaming
I
site.
could never really get into Turner Classic Movies as a child. Anytime I put on that channel, I was
Sometimes.
well, but then again, look, I
The
had
romance movies they have on there are amazing.
I had my own black and white prejudices kind of shot apart during this show when It's a Wonderful Life I was not into, and so yeah, it's kind of opened my eyes. And then even in Branded to Kill, we have a fully kind of older black and white movie here. So I guess I'd be interested to see now in my wiser and more mature years.
You have to take your kid. You have to show your kid black and white movies so they'll be like, "Oh, Dad, you're so old."
That's true. Yeah, then they'll start to maybe respect me a little more. For me, I watched Black Panther in theaters, which I thought was very good.
Did you go for 3D IMAX?
I did not go for 3D
Ooh,
IMAX.
really?
I did. I'm kind of hooked on this celebrity theater spot, the premium large format theater.
Oh, that's right. I saw
That
you
theater is
text
so
about
nice.
it.
Yes,
Or
it's
tweet
got
about
the giant screen, but really it is the sound system. That Dolby Atmos sound system is just unbelievable. And for a movie like Black Panther, where the soundtrack and the audio was a pretty big part, I thought that was a good play.
That'd be a good Dunkirk theater.
That would be a great Dunkirk theater.
Dunkirk theater. Oh my God, would it? So Black Panther is very good. What else did I watch? I mean, I guess I've mainly been playing that Kingdom Come Deliverance game. I did start a little Altered Carbon on Netflix, which is that new sci-fi show they just came out with.
I didn't keep going. It's good.
The first episode is not very good. Well, I mean, okay, the first episode, there's enough there to keep me watching. But I think if you go into it, want to use the first episode as a judge of whether you should continue or not, you may land on not continuing. That's actually where I was, but I've had so much anecdotal evidence from friends and others who have gone on to watch more of it, like, dude, you actually need to maybe stick with it. And so I went into episode 2 last night, and I was starting to like, okay, I'm coming around on this thing. I like this setting. I like the visuals.
What's
very cyberpunky.
The general, what's the, like,
It
the
is,
general without giving away?
It is a cyberpunk future.
Okay.
Where kind of
Blade Runner.
The corporations
Perfect, I
have
love
taken
it.
over. Yeah, kind of Blade Runner.
Do they fly cars? They do.
Very much have
I
flying
like
cars.
the vibe of Blade Runner, so maybe if...
Oh, and
Well,
this
that's
one
the
is
best part
much.
of Blade Runner.
The pace is much faster.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
the vibe of Blade Runner, I love.
The world building in Blade Runner is second to none. Actually, I even...
Should I watch that second Blade Runner?
I
Yes.
heard 2049 is very
Yes.
good. I haven't seen it
2049.
yet.
Well,
So
you
many-
liked the first one.
but even like I
First
like
Blade Runner's good,
I
though,
like
but
the second one
that's
more than
another
the first one
conversation.
by like a long stretch.
Okay.
And even people that I know that saw Blade Runner in theaters have told me that they think
Okay.
that the second's
Because I
way
thought
better.
about doing it, but...
I'm pretty sure in the original Blade Runner 2 to speak to world building, that language that they're speaking is some like bastardized amalgamation of Chinese and something else. So like whatever. The
Very
point being that they've
detailed, yeah.
created a very good world.
Yeah.
I don't think that Altered Carbon is that detailed, but it's still a cool cyberpunk setting. And all it is it is a future where your consciousness are on these discs that slot into your spine. And so if your body dies, as long as that disc is not destroyed, you can go into a new body, which they call
maybe I saw the preview for that, or like saw
they've
something
been marketing
about,
the hell out of it.
It's with the
I've
guy
seen
from
that.
The Killing.
That looks good. I want to watch that.
Lyndon, he plays.
Yo, you got to ride, Lyndon.
Yes, that's all I can think about, dude.
Both of you. That was
Oh, man.
excellent.
My
You ever seen
sister and I
The
do that all the time whenever one of us hits right. Yo. I got to ride, Lyndon.
Oh my god, dude.
Something like that.
He
That
is.
was incredible. Those both were very incredible.
He is jacked now, though.
'Cause he was
Oh
also
my
RoboCop.
God, dude. Oh, was he? I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's on the juice or what, but my man is huge. So that's
Russia
cool.
would love him. All that. Dope.
Russia
yeah.
would love him.
So, but they call the bodies that you can use sleeves, which is like so
Ooh,
gross.
I don't like
Isn't
that.
Well,
excellent?
and there's like
That sounds
a
weird.
way if
It's like
you
a consciousness condom.
if you don't have any money, then you just oh.
How long have you been thinking about that?
It actually just hit me right now. I feel really good about it. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a scene in the first episode where like if you don't have money, you just get like the rejected bodies where like a family is
Oh,
reunited and there's like a mom and a dad. They're like a different race, and the child is like in a 45-year-old body.
Oh no.
Yeah, really sad because she even killed her. Something I can't remember. So
Oh.
some good.
That was some pretty good detail. I
Good,
thought.
yeah, excellent.
I would like to watch that.
So yeah, I would say maybe check it out. You know,
Okay.
I can't vouch for how it ends or anything. I'm only 2 episodes in. Anything else that I've been watching? I don't think so. I love Bachelor and Bachelor Winter Games, but we're gonna have to talk about that here. I've actually watched.
I need to try that. I didn't even
watched
try.
more Bachelor Winter Games than I have of the actual Winter Olympics. I've probably watched 4 hours of Bachelor Winter Games to like 1 hour of the
And
Olympics.
I've got to say, I'm kind of done with the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
I didn't spend a lot. I watched a little bit this weekend, but I was busy, so I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't catch a whole lot of it. But last week, I feel like I watched a pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Bit of it.
I'm still on the figure skating thing. That's still pretty fun.
Yeah, I saw Matt Hamilton was back. It was like.
Oh,
the-
is he?
the-
See, that's.
Yeah, he.
Do what,
It was
curling?
doubles or whatever. The men.
Oh, if they find Matt Hamilton doping, I swear to God.
That man's gonna
something tells
take
me
off.
Matt Hamilton's not doping.
He is gonna take off when he gets back to the United States. He's like such a national treasure
I
now.
hope so. I hope so. But you always say this with people during the
I feel
Olympics,
like he's
and
gonna
then
like
they
be
disappear.
he's
You
gonna be
never
like
care
the
about it
guy
when
for
they're
Papa
back.
John's or something.
Yeah.
Like
I hope that Matt Hamilton gets ad revenue.
He's a
I hope that
national
he wins
treasure.
a medal. I hope all that is true. I still think the only person who may break out in the mainstream from the Olympics will be Adam Rippon.
he's already they've already hired him.
That's what I heard.
I
Yeah.
think Chloe Kim could be. I think
She's
she's got
cool.
what you need in order
She just
to.
seems like cool. Like she's just gonna keep on snowboarding.
Well, she's
and,
actually
like, living her life.
probably already very successful. We're just not aware of the snowboard scene. Like
Yeah.
snowboarding, you can go relatively mainstream in. You can't
Yeah.
really go mainstream in curling or figure skating.
Right.
So that yeah, you're right. This is these guys' opportunities to kind of state their
Did
case.
you see
Yeah.
who Sally Field? Sorry, this is.
Oh,
kind
I
of
did.
unrelated.
No, I
We
did
should
see
have
this.
talked
This is
about
good.
this.
No, this is kind of when Sally Fields makes us real
Oh,
friends
that's right.
tangential.
So Sally
You're good.
Field,
Yeah.
her son is gay, and
Oh.
and he apparently has a crush on Adam. Is it Rippon?
I have no idea. I've been
Do you know how to
saying
say it?
I don't know.
Rippon. Okay, whatever.
Rippin'.
Ribbon?
I think it's
Ribbon. Ribbon?
Ripon.
Ripon. Okay.
Ripon.
You don't know. Okay. So Adam, he has a crush on him, and so he was like texting with Sally about it, and she's basically like shoot your shot essentially, like in Sally Field language. But do you remember what she said?
I don't know what she said to him, but then she ends up tweeting at him.
She tweeted it at him. Yeah.
With like linking her son, basically
the text message conversation.
Yes, it's Sally Field doing that.
What
very
a nightmare! That makes me very embarrassed for her son. I know. I'm like, but how cute, how great would it be if they like ended up together?
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool, but no response from Adam.
I don't know. Well, he's a little busy. I mean, he's like,
Right now is
he's
right
like
now
doing
is
some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say now's not the time where you want to get in a relationship after you've just become super famous and are probably gonna have your pick of the
But
litter.
man, would you
out of potential sexual partners.
maybe if you could be Sally Field's son-in-law, maybe.
That's true. That's true.
That'd be
Maybe he's
pretty
a
nice.
huge fly. He could be a huge Flying Nun
Steel
fan,
Magnolias?
for all we know.
Ooh, Steel Magnolias.
You ever
That's
seen the
what you
Flying
went?
Nun? Yeah. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Or Gidget? Was she Gidget? I don't know. Whatever. We're getting lost in the
she was in a
Sally
car.
Fields. Did you see that joke? I said we're getting lost in the Sally Fields instead of the weeds.
Yes.
The fields.
Could be some weeds in that field.
Yep, there we go. All right, and now that's a perfect time to stop our opening segment and get into the movies of the week. Like we said, 3 Yakuza movies, Branded to Kill, Tokyo Drifter, and Outrage. I don't know, but I'm guessing that Branded to Kill is the oldest of these 3 movies?
That is the middle movie.
Really? So Tokyo
It came out the
Drifter's
year
oldest.
after.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until after, we had all said that we would do these, but Branded to Kill is made by the same guy that made Tokyo Drifter. But he's kind of seen as like the godfather, or maybe the Godfather's more appropriate, of the Japanese gangster movie, because it was kind of stale before this, and then
Before this?
Yeah, but like the style of this kind of made Japanese gangster movies be more energetic.
Were there?
Feels-
Well, I mean, serious question.
Branded
no
to Kill
jokes.
is not lacking
Like,
in energy.
No joke. Like there were a lot of Japanese gangster films before this.
There
one?
weren't even that many before
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah, it was like
They were
few
just
and
kinda
far
boring.
between.
So he kind of created, he kind of put maybe the Yakuza movies on the map a little bit.
kind
Okay.
of. Kind of.
All right, so then we start with Tokyo Drifter. Nathan, can you give us some background on Tokyo Drifter?
Yeah, this is 1966. A little bit of where the state of everything was in Japanese movies at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
this is good. I want to hear this.
This is after the 50s, where Japanese cinema was big because they had like Godzilla. And they had a lot of like those Seven Samurais. They were winning festivals. They were coming to America, making a lot of money, and that declined because TV was big in Japan because they hosted the Olympics. They had 2 royal weddings within like 4 years, so people got TVs. People weren't going to the movies anymore. So they were looking for filmmakers who were willing to give a big screen experience that rivaled the TV.
Yes.
And so this was one of the first, things that they tried. I forget the name of the studio, is the Nataku Studio. And they got this director, Seijun Suzuki, who in 1966 came out with Tokyo Drifter, which was pretty successful. Like it did what they wanted it to do. It's a story about he's joined his boss, who has decided to go straight, leaving the Yakuza. And there's a family who is threatening their business, wanting to pull them back from the straight path back into the Yakuza, and all of this pressure falls on Tetsuo, who has to become a drifter, leave. And they try to pull him back in. Eventually, he's betrayed by his own side, and it's Tetsuo on the run. That's the main.
He's the man.
Sweet. Wait. So is
Tetsuo
it
the
Tetsu.
Phoenix.
It's Tetsu.
Tetsu the
okay.
Phoenix.
Sweet little Tetsu.
Sweet little Tetsu. A man of
I
principle.
love him. He
Who-
is very
a man
principled.
of principle in a world devoid of principles.
And what did y'all think of his? I mean, I know that their acting style in Japan is very different, but what did y'all think
it's
of his
so hard
acting?
for me to judge that because
He was
I
a
think
pop
it's-
star.
I think
He
it's-
was a singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which kind of explains
cool.
how he's singing that theme.
Okay, but
I think it's hard for me to judge it because when you don't understand the language and you're spending a lot of time like reading and listening, like I don't know what his acting. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell.
Well, what I think it highlights is something that is that really stood out to me from watching all of these movies is just how different the culture is. Just
Yeah.
in like the little things and the interactions between characters and some of the principles that they espouse and kind of hold on to, and some of
Their idea of honor.
This was a very
is big.
visually, this is a very stylistic movie and a bit odd when you think like almost arty when you think about some of the weird like still random shots that they would have at certain points and whatever. Like it just spoke to a culture that is night and day different from ours. And when you think about Western versus Eastern culture, that makes sense. I mean, look at the differences in the written language between the two cultures, right? Like these are a group of people that have evolved and grown up in just a completely different environment. And I thought it was very interesting to see some of that transfer over to the film. So what was something in this movie, like we do, we kind of start as pros and cons as a launching point. Nathan, what was something that stood out to you from this movie that you enjoyed?
I really, just the playfulness of it. I liked how I'd seen this a few years ago, but watching it, and I've seen it a few times, the way that it almost feels like a graphic novel of a movie. Like the colors, the camera movement, like the camera is almost a character in all of these movies. How not from a technical admiring standpoint, but like the camera will just go out of the room to another room. You're not sure where you're going, but
Right.
yeah. And the style of it, the colors and the way that the story is almost secondary.
Did this movie start out in black and white?
It did.
Okay.
I love the way
Because
that
I
it did
couldn't
that.
remember- I was like, wait
a
a minute.
luminous, like a blown out white, like almost angelic,
Yes,
Like
okay.
a
type of
charcoal
suit.
black.
Because
type
when I
of
was
thing.
watching
Yeah.
the second movie, which is all in black
Yes.
and white, I couldn't remember. I was like, wait a minute.
And it does the Sin City thing where he sees like a little piece of red on the train tracks.
Yes, it looks like a toy plastic gun.
Yeah.
It's like the Schindler's List, Sin City.
Yeah.
Wait, so this
I thought
movie
that
was
very
before the
cool.
second one.
Yes.
So they chose just for the second one to be in black and white.
Yeah,
That was like a decision.
They didn't want to give him any money. The studio almost didn't want to give any money for
Okay,
that
got it.
reason. But that was actually that opening scene is what Quentin Tarantino used as like a jumping off point to start Kill
this
Bill in black and
feels
white.
very
Oh, wow.
like Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino.
He talks about this filmmaker a
or
lot.
just in general, well, that would make sense because he did two of the movies, but just in general, like this style, this like Japanese gangster,
It really
whatever.
does.
This feels so, and I would never have thought of that on my own, but like,
I
yes.
like the way that it was fun. Like the point wherever it like almost poked fun at American movies because it took place in a saloon, that fight where like
Yes,
they get in a
dude.
fight and then
Epic
everyone
bar fight.
starts fighting. And it was like I felt like the plot's pretty simple.
The plot's
and
not hard to
hard
to follow.
That's all. Like if you took everything away and just left the plot, there's not that much going on.
At least there is actually, though, the semblance of a plot in this movie, which I don't know can be said about every movie that
we're
we're
gonna talk about?
today. Yeah.
Well, what did y'all think? I love the reuse of the theme as well.
I-
I loved how that theme came up again and again.
It makes sense that he was a pop star, though. I
Yeah.
loved the music in it. I loved that
That's
song.
probably the highlight is the main Tokyo Drifter
that
song
song that
they're
kept showing
constantly
back
singing.
up. I loved
And,
that.
and they have those wonderful musical interludes at the club with the female singer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's one of those things where she's basically narrating the film, right? I mean,
Yeah, a
isn't
little
she,
bit.
if you
guess-
listen to the words that
Yeah.
she's saying, like it applies to Tetsu's journey.
When he's like
almost.
taking the train.
I mean, it's
Yes.
go.
So it's almost 1-to-1 there.
I loved the club that they kept going into. Like you would just see kind of like some little shots of it as they were like going up the stairs and all the like the go-go dancers, which
Yeah,
was like kind
that
of weird.
like disco.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was like-
that was a
it was
weird
like a-
American
like a 60s
feeling
like-
almost.
yeah,
So
very
what
American.
I love about that is I can't help but wonder if the guy who made John Wick isn't a fan of this movie because I got a very John Wick type of vibe. Not just in the fact that this is kind of like the guy who's gone straight and it's like don't push him because he's
Yeah.
he's a freak when he explodes. Like if you
Yeah.
make him angry enough, he can do some damage. Don't push him. So it's got that. But then even it reminded me of kind of the John Wick Fight Club scene. But I thought the entire movie was actually going to take place in that nightclub in the beginning as they're running around the underbelly and kind of behind the scenes, and you can see everybody oblivious to everything that's going on. So I thought that it was a really solid setting. I think for me, what stands out the most, like Nathan said, the visuals are really second to none. I love that hyper stylized, like the colors. They don't care that you know that you're watching a movie or a movie set because they want to make it visually appealing, right? They're valuing style over realism, and I think that it absolutely works in a movie where the acting, and I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but it feels like an anime, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes the acting can be very
What do you mean
over
when
the
you say?
top.
Oh yeah.
Like over the
Well, I
top.
think if you and I could be wrong, but I feel like that's just the language. like you find, I'm reading these subtitles, and like I feel like they're shouting things, and then it's just like, "Hi,
If
how
you
are
like
you?"
Japanese man shouting,
Like,
let me talk to you about outrage.
like hi, like hi. Well, they're yelling, and I'm like reading the subtitles. It's like, "Hi, how are you?"
It's like, I would never raise my voice.
So
that
it's
much
hard to
in
know
public.
what the acting is like because
No, I mean,
the language is just so different than what we're used to.
Well, and it's hard because we don't know like
Our inflections and our
yes. What are the day-to-day interactions like in Japan
And it
in
was-
the 60s?
it
We
was
don't know.
maybe they're just yelling at
It was
each
weird
other.
in Outrage wherever one of the characters starts speaking English because even the way that they start acting becomes much more restrained
Yes.
whenever
Yeah.
they're talking in a different
Oh,
language.
so actually,
Kevin was so mad when that one guy spoke English.
It does. It
He's like,
throws
"Are you
off.
kidding me?"
You know what though? Maybe that's a clue into exactly what Rivers is talking about. It could be more just that's how they deliver their language a little
But
bit.
that's the way that
That's a good point. I noticed in Outrage when they switch to English, they do become much more reserved. All of a
They're
sudden,
very
a little less
deadpan, almost
inflectory.
like.
Yeah, there is actually a documentary up for Best Documentary where they show Japanese people talking with each other, and I mean they look like they're acting out of this movie.
So okay, so really, I've just always assumed that in anime and stuff that was a stylistic choice. It might just be
just the
more
language.
representative of the culture. That's interesting, man.
that is pretty. Interesting.
So like I said though, so this movie to me, I do think it works too. It does it values style over realism. I do like the plot here. I love the stoic, the stoic, not even hero, but the stoic protagonist who he's trying to do the right things, but if you push him far enough, like you have to watch out. And then the fact that because he's a man of principle and bound by duty and honor, that despite the fact that he really shouldn't, he ends up putting himself in a bad position and accepting his kind of wayward life as a drifter in order to help protect his boss and
Right.
his family and those who he loves and works for. If only he could get the same protection in return.
Yeah, and it sometimes they talk about it like straight out, like a man cannot fall in love with a woman to be a drifter.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Hey, I love the rules behind being
There's
a
like
drifter.
rules.
There's so much. Yeah, it seems like everything in life, I guess at this time was really like honor what you have to do, things that you can't do to have a successful
Well,
life.
you kind of have that. You see that same theme in
Yeah.
Branded to Kill. They're
Yeah.
talking about like to be the
Number
assassins
one.
or whatever. Yeah, you can't. What was it? Like you can't love women or.
Yeah, I
You can't love
actually
people,
wrote down
you
that. I
can't-
forget what it was. It's like you can't drink. It's a
There's
lonely
like a lot
life
of
to be an
rules.
assassin.
Yeah, same thing with the drifter
and,
apparently.
Yeah.
they're actually right, and we watched Heat on this show earlier this year.
That's true. He was
and
quite
they
a
say the
drifter.
exact same things.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro does in Heat when he's talking about
Well, because when you start falling in love and then getting emotions involved, that's when you get caught up.
De Niro's like, I'm
Have
ready
to be able
go
to
and,
drop
like-
everything in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Good
Drop
rule.
it.
I mean-
one of my favorite scenes was the scene where like you think he might be dead, which he's not dead, but he's like laying on the ground and all of a sudden he starts whistling that song and he kind of like looks over and he's like very like playfully charming, like
Wait,
he's like smiling
yeah.
as he's whistling. I loved that.
Yeah, that was really good.
Oh, there was actually another Kill Bill part that they copied here.
Well,
Whenever,
Because he literally, the guy that was watching literally was like, he's not moving, he's dead, and then he was like,
yeah.
and he starts whistling. Gotcha.
Remember, like, whenever they shoot that girl and they, like, run up to her and it's like, oh, you killed Mutsaku or something like that. And the color behind them changes from red to white
Yes.
or something like that.
Yeah.
It was the same thing from there. I also really liked how the bad guy at the beginning, like, with the sunglasses, they would only build up, like, you'd only see his sunglasses.
I
Like, the
love
way that they
that.
build him up almost like a monster.
That's what I was
pretty
going to
cool.
say. It was that, and that was something that you don't see as much in American filmmaking, or not me. That also, once again, felt. I guess everything feels anime to me because my only exposure to Japanese film is
that-
just through anime.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so this is starting to make sense now. But yes, they create that sense of mystery and intimidation around that antagonist, and then kind of throughout the movie, you see that stripped away.
Yeah.
Which I think is very effective, and it helps show that Tetsu and Shooting Star
Sweet Tetsu.
are really, really the best. Yeah, and that's maybe my favorite part of the movie. Actually, is Shooting Star, even more so than Tetsu, the older and wiser
Drifter.
gangster, the drifter who he knows the score, he knows how it works, and he knows at the end of the day that everybody else is just looking out for number one, and so you have to do the same thing. You
But he
got to be
kinda
able to look out for yourself.
He kind of really cared about.
He does care
Tetsu.
about. I think in
It's like whenever
Tetsu,
there was that one scene where he he like left him or whatever, and then he like immediately turned back around and was like, I've been thinking about you. You've only been gone for like 1 minute. How is that possible?
I think that in Tetsu, Shooting Star recognizes a younger version of himself, a more idealistic, more believing in the good of people, more honorable type of
I've been thinking
type
about
of Yakuza. Now, it is interesting. In this movie, don't they talk about how like the ways of honor are gone and stuff in the Yakuza?
I don't remember.
I know they.
I don't remember if they do.
Okay, because I don't want to misspeak, so I guess I'll just kill this point on the vine then. Because if they did, it's just interesting because they say the same thing in Outrage. So then it's like, that's 40 years later. When was the age of honor in the Yakuza?
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think they talk about it a little bit in and even some of their actions. It feels a little bit weird watching it in America. Some of the decisions they make that you can tell are just based on either ancestry, honor, heritage.
Well, here's a question, and it may be a dumb one, but so, you know, you watch the Godfather movie, you know, like our mob movies. That's all kind of based in reality. You know, there were families that did that, and there was very much like that that thing going on. Is this real? Was this like a thing? Was Yakuza?
I actually meant to.
Yeah.
I actually.
So there's like kind of like the Japanese mob.
So Yakuza's like the mafia in terms. Yes, it absolutely exists. Very
does
powerful.
exist. Okay.
If they catch people without their pinkies, then you get fined, and I think that you get put under investigation if they see people without pinkies.
If you don't have a pinky, you get investigated.
Yeah,
because you're involved with the Yakuza.
The
those
tattoos,
dude. There was a headline just a couple weeks ago on the internet. Some like 80-year-old man who had been on the run for 30 or 40 years got busted at a bathhouse because of his tattoos. I can't remember where in the world he was, but his tattoos got him busted.
Why would they do such an obvious thing?
I don't know.
Like,
well, I think I must date back to the samurai tradition. Like, it seems like that still sticks around.
So they're all like, so the Yakuza is based on like samurai?
I want to talk more about the Yakuza hierarchy when we get to Outrage. Because I think it's more. I think it's much more impactful.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was based in.
I think the Russian mob is also like that with tattoos. How like that's in order to be a part of it, you have to get certain tattoos, I think.
I've seen what's the
I just
Naked
know that
Viggo,
from
what's a Naked Viggo
Eastern
Mortensen
Promises.
movie? Yes,
that's the only thing I know.
Wait, what movie?
Eastern Promises.
Oh, that is a badass movie.
I took my mom though to see that movie, and that's not a movie you want to see with your mom.
My dad took us all
Note
to see that for his birthday. It was very. I forget when that came out.
Yeah, I mean,
that's funny.
Viggo's straight meat slinging.
Oh yeah,
in a naked fight scene.
No, it's
Note to
intense.
self.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. In a bathhouse. That's like a knife fight, and it's like one shot. That thing is intense.
It's very, very much so.
I forgot about that. Oh,
I might need to watch Eastern Promises.
That'd be really good.
Russian mob films coming at you next.
Exactly. All right, so wrapping up.
Well, what did y'all? I mean, because it's tough. What were some of the cons on this? Like, I thought the sets were pretty cheap. You could like, there's a point wherever he goes back and he like leans against a wall and the wall like wobbles.
Yeah.
I didn't notice as much that.
Bit endearing in a weird way, just because it felt like a more of
they didn't care.
Maybe not even not caring. It just felt like creative people being like, okay, we are only given X amount of money. We have to make it work. And like they made a very stylish movie for relatively low production values. Like even the final scene when everything's just white and very stark, and there's not a lot of detail. It works because of how they've set up the movie in terms of style over realism and everything.
I'd say my biggest complaint would be the acting, but again, I don't know that it's necessarily an acting thing or just like a language. But there are some things like what I just said. The guy like leaving the room and then coming back a minute later saying he'd been thinking about it. Like let it sit for a minute. You know, like that kind of thing is bad acting. I feel like.
Whole drifting portion didn't land for me.
The drifting portion was a little strange.
It did feel a little bit like he left and then he started coming back, and I got why he was coming back, but like he didn't go very far as a drifter.
Almost immediately he pulled back in.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and
that
it was
a little.
It was a lot of hard cuts. Like it did not a lot of setup. It was just like, and now he's here, and now he's here, and now he's back. So it was the middle portion was the weakest portion of the movie to me. Like I said, I love the beginning. All of the scenes taking place in the jazz nightclub with the unaware party goers going. I thought that was all great, and then I really loved the end with the relationship with him and Shooting Star, and I think it is very. It's got a like the best part of the plot is how Tetsu is married to this idea of loyalty over everything else, duty and honor.
Man is loyal.
Yes, and then in the end, Shooting Star is proven right that look, man, nobody's going to be loyal to you at the end of the day when push comes to shove. Like you're a better man than most, and indeed his boss father
Which is so
figure
sad.
betrays him.
The
It
way
is
that
sad,
he
but that's why
commits
it's
suicide
good.
is darn. Oh well, we do spoilers. That's
Yeah, we
fine.
do spoilers. Yeah, he
Yeah.
slits his wrist.
Yeah, and that was intense. Like he just looks back at him and he's like,
are
"First of all,
not
if you're
afraid-
gonna commit suicide, that's pretty inconsiderate to do it like in the middle of the bar,
Wait, how
in the
inconsiderate?
white bar."
Yeah, they are not subtle in these films at all.
The only thing I realized, and maybe more so in Branded to Kill, is they aren't subtle at all when it comes to like actually, when they fight and whenever they have like silences, they are pretty subtle. Like there isn't a lot of music during the fighting. Like the fighting is usually either on its own or there are times where like there won't be any music for maybe 45 seconds. of them.
I would be. I guess I never noticed that really.
I didn't notice it either.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the barroom fight scene that you said. That was an awesome fight.
Oh, the
scene.
saloon one?
Yes, the saloon.
That was weird whenever you actually introduced an American character, that white woman.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was some bad acting. That was some bad
Wait,
American acting.
she wasn't American. She was French.
Oh, maybe French.
She
was not Asian.
because she was
No, she was white. She was like one of the few white
but,
characters.
But she
in the
was
movie.
like, but when she spoke to him, she was like, "You're not the same." Maybe she spoke she spoke English, but it was
She
with
did,
an
but it
accent.
was. You could
like, you don't
tell
remind me of
Japanese
all
people
the-
maybe Google searching how to say this in English.
Yeah, it was like
whatever
you don't
they had
remind
back
me
then.
of the French guys or something.
She looked good though. She was.
Yeah, she
She
did.
did look good.
Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. So, Let me
Okay.
get some of that.
That's
I'm sorry.
okay.
Excuse me. I'm
That's
Tetsuo
what we're
would
doing.
never use that language.
No, he would not. No,
I wish that he had said
No.
that to her. What do you think that would have sounded like?
no. She has like.
Bowl of oatmeal.
She has like a Japan over the world moment where she says like, "Oh, you're so much better than American and European men," and just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
shuts
yes, that
down
was it.
everybody
Yeah.
else, which I thought was great. So that whole Western saloon fight scene was so over the top. I absolutely love that. There's not many barroom fight scenes that completely tear down the club, and then they're
Yeah.
like laughing afterwards, like, "Oh, that was crazy."
Those days.
So Tokyo Drifter, I really enjoyed this
I
movie.
enjoyed it.
I would recommend
It's a
people
big
to watch
popcorn
this.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
Big
very much
popcorn
so.
movie.
I liked it.
Now the next movie on the list is
This might be the most obscure that we're ever going to get on this show.
Maybe
It is-
so.
And I will say, I hadn't seen this before, so I was
you had
unaware.
not?
No, I had not seen this. I did not know that this. I
interesting.
looked up like the top 10 Yakuza movies to try and get one that I hadn't seen, and this was. I hadn't seen it before. I'd heard about it, so
We went for it.
yes, it is definitely going for it.
so this is Branded to Kill.
I thought of
Nathan.
texting you guys while I was watching one of the mini sex scenes to be like,
I
just so
mean,
you guys know, I didn't know this was coming.
Oh, man, they went for
I
it.
was
that
kind
was-
of thinking when I was watching. I was like, man, yeah.
That was
Nathan.
kind of. I mean, you're gonna give the plot, but like those were some of the scenes like I didn't mind as much. Well, I mean,
No,
aside
and
from
that-
like the beating some of the women up, like whatever. That's
there
kinda
was a
weird.
lot of
but
that.
but just like the sex scenes in general, like I didn't mind.
Yeah. Okay. So it's
Yeah,
Branded to Kill. Nathan, give us
Branded to
before we
Kill.
get into it.
This is the same director. The Tokyo Drifter did well, but that was after the fact of when the studio first saw Tokyo Drifter, they were not big fans.
The Amazon description says that they fired the director on the spot.
I don't know if they fired him. They
Confirm
might have.
or not.
Well, the thing is, this movie, the director knew that it was not going well with the company, so they secured funding for this movie based on a very modest script, and they got a little bit of funding to do it in black and white, and they got extra funding for product placement with that rice cooker, which was it originally started as product placement.
What a weird
Wait,
thing.
was
I
that-
They
can-
got
I
so
cannot-
much
that's
mileage.
great.
They got so much mileage out of that thing.
That's actually my favorite part of the
we
movie.
have to like let him get through this, but we are going to talk about that, right?
Oh yeah, yes, we will. But they said that's where they got the idea to do that. Like they had to do product placement, and the director was like, "Well, if we have to do it, then we're going for it."
Which, by the way, this director, if it's the same guy who did Tokyo Drifter,
Also-
they have two of the oddest hair dryer scenes that I've
Ooh,
ever
Lady
what
seen.
a
Charm.
beautiful hair dryer.
Isn't it like Charming
what kind
Lady or
is
Lady
it?
Charm?
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm not
then they
that old. I like to stay young and hip."
But then they show like the girls when they're talking about it, they show the ad like on the door.
Yeah.
Like there's an ad on the door, and they just stick on it for.
Hey,
like
look,
10
man,
seconds.
making movies is expensive, and
Yeah.
you got to figure out ways to get that funding. Shout out to this guy for, like, at least in branded to Kill, he works it in.
Kinda.
He works it in better.
No,
like,
whenever
to me,
I
it feels
found
way
out-
more organic
It felt like that
than
was
the
in
hair
the
dryer
rice
thing
cooker-
did.
the
It
rice-
felt like that was in the original script.
The
I was surprised to find out that
rice
was product
cooker feels
placement.
organic to you guys.
I think it does. I actually think it does, and I'll explain why. But continue, Nate.
Yeah, well, the star of the movie, Joe Shishido, who
Hey.
plays Hanada, he was And they were able to get him in the movie because he was like an A-list star. Like he was like the Brad Pitt over there.
Oh, really?
But he was kind of on
He
the
had
cheap.
chipmunk cheeks.
This is the thing.
Very
He was
much.
kind of on the cheap at that point because he had just gotten out of plastic surgery, which did not go well.
On his face?
He got
Yes!
he came out of it looking like he had chipmunk cheeks,
he has
which meant
chipmunk
you
cheeks.
could still get a big name, but people were saying like he's gonna look weird in this
knew it,
new
so
movie.
I
that
noticed it the
wasn't
whole time. I
normal.
was like, his cheeks are weirding me out.
Yeah, chipmunk chipmunk
You gotta be
cheeks.
careful.
I actually think I thought that they had I thought they had cast him just because he had such distinctive facial
And it's
features.
weird. I think because
homie, he put those in his cheeks.
this movie is actually
Damn,
it's
son, you
lived
can't be
on
getting
pretty
cheek
well.
implants?
But yeah,
Right?
and it feels like that's almost part of it because the star has got this.
Do you
look.
think that his cheeks were just so hollow that he was like, I gotta get them?
I have no
I don't
idea
know.
what kind of insecure levels you reach when you're
Oh
going
my
for cheek implants.
Right?
Okay, so
Well, yeah.
so-
Anyway, this movie, a number 3 hitman. We don't know his name. That is his name. Or no, Haneda. That is his name. Haneda. I'm sorry, I messed that up right there. The number 3 hitman is hired to do a job that does not go well. He messes up, which means that he finds himself as the target within his community of assassins, which means that he is now on the run from the mysterious and highly dangerous number 1, which
if
they
you're-
have. That seems like they're kind of like in Kill Bill. Also, like there's kind of a community wherever you have people with different names, different ranks. This guy's
Yes.
number 3. Number 1 is no one knows who number 1
Well,
is.
and I like that. I always like the idea of there's something that's a bit paradoxical about like structure among thieves, right? Like that you could be in a business as chaotic and rule breaking as assassinating people, but then you're gonna have like a leaderboard, right? And like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the number 1 guy. This is where that's always appealed to me.
Yeah.
So I love the setup.
Oh, yeah.
I love the setup. I love the character himself. I just don't. I kept wanting a little more plot wise from the movie, and it does not give it to
This absolutely.
If you
like,
blink, you're like, what's happening? Where am I?
That was
Where did
why-
we go?
I kept having to rewind. I was like, did I fall asleep?
Yeah.
Did I miss
30
something?
minutes. I told Rivers 30 minutes into the movie, I actually rewound it from the beginning because my mind went somewhere else for about 5 minutes and I didn't know where I was.
But there
and
were
I
some
felt-
moments where it was just, I just didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, this felt very much like one of the, and I thought like Mother recently was one as well, where like at a certain point, if you're gonna like it, then you're gonna have to just
Be with it.
not care about the plot and go with wherever it's gonna go.
So-
That's,
God, Mother was so
So I
bad
have
though.
a question.
See, Mother was too heavy.
which I know they
that
kind of.
was very heavy.
I know they answered it, but I want to just make sure. So if any assassin is hired to do a job
Yeah,
and you mess up, then you get murdered.
I guess.
Yeah, like
so.
yes, that is, and not,
Yeah.
he
That's the
killed
hard.
it.
That's the hard and fast rule. Like
If-
you miss, we're killing you.
Straight
Yeah,
up.
and he killed
But
an
if
innocent
you,
person.
But if you kill the person, you're fine.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You did the job. You got
But
the job
but
done.
maybe the assassin. But how do we know that these assassins aren't hired to kill like technically innocent people?
Well, yeah. Look,
well,
I
no,
don't
and,
think.
and just in, I mean, I'm sure in that
Innocent or
community,
guilty-
it's,
No,
you
no,
get
it's-
a name, you get a kill, and that's
Yeah,
you're
don't
getting it
think
in.
about it in terms of innocent or guilty.
Yeah.
It was
killed
unintended.
the
It's
wrong
intended
person.
versus yes, unintended.
The wrong
He killed the wrong one
Okay,
because of
so
butterfly.
but even like she, oh my gosh, this is so confusing. She hired him knowing that he probably wasn't going to do it.
Yes.
Then he had to do it because he heard the plan, which seems a little sketchy. Like you can just go shouting assassin plans at assassins, and now they got to do them.
I think that he took it on as a. I think she stoked his competitive fires a little bit. That,
But didn't she say that? She was like, "Now you have to because you've heard the plan."
Well, yes, she did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe it's one of those things where if
And
you
she
want the
also
details, you have
seemed-
to agree to the job. Kind
She
of
was
in
a
the
little
blind.
cray cray.
That was yeah. She was.
She was a little.
She seemed in on something. She definitely seemed.
She
Oh yeah.
was a little cray
Was
cray.
so okay. So I guess it's hard to even talk about this movie because there's such a lack of a plot that, like,
much
for
going.
anybody who hasn't seen the movie, I'm trying to think about how.
So
you could talk
basically, in
about
the
it where
movie,
they
there's a
can
girl.
relate.
This beautiful girl comes along. Like his car breaks down or something, and she comes along to give him, and she gives him a ride.
Yeah.
And she's a little strange. She's like very dark, and she doesn't care about death or life or whatever. And eventually, you end up in her apartment. So he kind of, I think, eventually sort of falls in love with her because she's
Yeah.
beautiful and whatever and mysterious.
I think he falls more in lust.
Okay, well,
than love.
so he falls in lust with her.
Well,
whatever.
he definitely.
I
It's
think
more
he-
than just like a
e-
one night
eventually
stand. They're
he-
tied almost in
eventually
his
he
mind
falls
in
in
some
love.
way.
Yeah.
If it's
Okay.
just sexual or love.
because when they kill, so they end up killing this girl to get back at him.
Yeah, that is true. They did
So,
burn her.
but
Well,
so he ends up in her
he kills
apartment.
her.
That's where things got a little shifty for me. Is
I
whenever
liked
he ended
how-
up in her apartment and there's all the butterflies and all the stuff. But then you weren't in her apartment and then you were back in her apartment. How much time has passed? I don't know. Where are we?
So I'm with Nathan, and Nathan, maybe you should explain this to people because I think this is the right mindset to watch it in, and that I don't think
you have to be with whatever decision they make.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't
almost.
think you can get hung up on those. Like, I probably would have enjoyed the movie more if I wasn't doing the same thing of constantly trying to
Right.
figure out.
But
And
do
that
you-
was why
where
I
we're
wish I had seen
plot-wise.
this first. That way I could have like
Known,
said, like,
yeah.
hey, listen, this plot, don't.
So do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? So they're in her
Oh, yeah.
apartment, but
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
but then he leaves. Like I think they have sex, and then he doesn't kill her.
I do love how when they are having so much sex and they keep showing the bed, and the bed is clean. They're
Yes,
never
that's the
going
best
to
part.
the
They
bed.
never have sex.
Well,
in the bed.
so he apparently like she asked him to kill her, and he says he will, but he's gonna have sex with her first. So
Yeah.
they have sex, but then he can't kill her. But so then he leaves, and when he comes back, they're again trying to kill each other. And I think that's where I was like, has a bunch of time passed? But I don't know that it has.
I
So that
mean,
was where I got a little like
I have
off the
no
rails.
idea. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
and
And then I didn't know how much time had passed between that moment and him coming back to her apartment again, and her have been being killed.
Well, I felt like at one point in the movie, I just woke up and he was on a dock in this like crazy action scene. I'm like, okay, this is badass. Like this, like the
All
action
all
in the
the
movies is
pieces-
really good.
Oh, and
All
it
the
feels like
pieces of the
it's
movie
all
are
set
cool.
pieces. It feels like it is just almost all set pieces.
I liked the movie. I liked how it was shot. How some of it was like a home video camera. Like it was like a little shaky and kind of blurry.
And it turned into a horror movie there a little bit. I
Yeah.
thought whenever number one starts hunting him down, like it almost the way it was shot, the way
Yeah.
it was edited, which was edited in one day.
Very surprised at number
Really?
one.
But, I mean, maybe it's not that
I mean, no,
shocking.
but I mean that is
I
shocking.
like all the scenes separated from each other. I liked them. It was, I think for me, it was going and not knowing that how
Yeah.
how difficult it was going to be to piece everything together. If I saw all of them individually, I think they're really cool shots and they look artsy and
Yeah, and I think
and
that
beautiful. It's
and I know
just-
you said it's cool, and I feel like it's cool in a way that isn't like it feels cool, like someone like with their shades on in a
Yeah.
dark room, smoking a
Yeah.
cigarette, and maybe holding a smoking gun.
Yes.
like it's cool and it's cool in that
Do you think
way.
they meant to make it that way,
It
or
feels
did it just
like they
end
did.
up being that
well,
way?
I read a little bit that what they were trying to do with the movie was to create nothing but pure entertainment with this mythological gangster assassin.
Okay. See, like that pitch already
Yeah.
makes it better. Just because it frames, it gives you a better mindset to enter the film with.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's like a movie that is almost boiled down to its most raw and extreme elements, right? Like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of subtlety in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything
This
is over
guy,
the
no,
top.
I will say this guy's got to be like bringing the heat because
This
because his wife because he can literally
Those
do
stereotypes are
he
not
can
true
literally
here.
do or say anything to his wife. She even hates him, but she's like, "Let's do
Okay,
it."
now
Like,
that I actually understood
we're
because
we're
she's
such beasts.
well,
like,
she's
We are
an assassin
beasts
too, though,
are beasts.
right?
Yeah.
She's an
I
assassin
don't think
too.
no, she's not. She got seduced. So remember that first scene where that guy's hiring him to do that first
Yeah.
The taxi driver?
yeah, so his boss or the person who gives him the names, he like seduces this guy's wife, and so he ends up telling her all the stuff. That's what she said. She was like, he already told me all the stuff.
Oh, see, I got the feeling that that our main guy knew that his wife was sleeping with that guy, and that was kind of his thing. Like he's into being cucked a little bit.
Well, look,
Because
might
he
have
calls her
known.
like a doesn't he call her like a dirty slut?
Yeah.
And then of course they start having sex.
Yeah,
'cause-
yeah. He's like beating
It
her around.
seemed
Then he's like sniffing up all the rice.
It seemed like all of these, yes, I think we should
Hold
probably
on,
go to that next.
we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second.
It felt like all of the women in this
But wait,
movie love
can-
to be like abused.
Also, quick
like that was
question.
their thing.
You don't want to this.
Quick question:
Yes.
is it like he can't get it up unless he smells the rice?
That was
'Cause I
what it
think that's
was.
the
I
deal.
thought that's what it
Oh, I
was.
think that's the
that
deal.
was it.
What?
Yeah, he has to have the rice, or
No.
he can't do the
Does
thing.
are we sure that he sniffs rice every time he has sex in this
Yes.
movie? Because he has a
Not
lot of
only
sex.
that, even at the end, whenever he's locked up in his apartment at home and he's like looking out of the scope and then he like picks up the rice cooker to smell the rice.
Huh,
Think
I
to
just
get
thought he was
himself,
super
like-
into it.
Good product placement, I will say. You
If-
want to
if
get
you-
it up?
If you want to get it
Our
up,
rice cooker.
smell the
Oh my
rice.
God, dude! I did not.
I think that's
up
the
on that.
deal. Well, because like right before they have sex, he's like, "You gotta go get me some rice."
Now I will say this.
Like-
I will say this though, in terms of
And she's like, "You're crazy. No thanks."
their relationship being crazy, it makes sense to me through the lens that if you are a professional assassin and you kill a lot of people, that's an insane lifestyle.
Yeah.
You're probably a bit crazy. You're going to attract crazy. And so, of course, he landed on this like nymphomaniac wild woman who you can sleep with and have this passionate sex with
On the
1 second, and then she'll shoot you the next second. Everywhere but the bed.
Those stairs.
Not the bed.
That
That's
stair
too.
sex scene was like, I was impressed with.
No, dude, it was
They were
kinda hot.
contorting all
was
types
hot,
of
man.
ways.
It was. But I loved that he was like about to have sex with her, and he basically was like yelling at her to go get him some rice, and she was like, "No,
I'm not going to buy you
like,
rice."
no, like no, absolutely not. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard."
So for those, so for the rice thing, for those who don't know, apparently it started with product placement, but it's one of the quirks that they give his character is he has a fetish for rice. He's obsessed with sniffing freshly boiled rice.
Yeah.
Which you ever lean over the rice cooker? It feels
It
pretty
smells great,
Smells
and
good.
it feels
It
good for
does.
your
Steam
skin.
up your face.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nathan's gonna go home and start sniffing rice.
I don't have a rice cooker, but I might soon. I don't know.
See, that made a ton of sense to me, though. I like when your protagonist has weird little quirks like that. So that I actually really like that part of the movie. I guess my problem was, like we said, I was going to this movie expecting more of a plot, and they don't deliver on that at all. Like I thought maybe, so he's number 3, he's going to work his way up to number 1. And then even the number 3 and number 1 stuff, though, ended up being a bit of a negative for me because at first he starts out very composed and very much like what you would imagine out of the number 3 ranked assassin. But then he kind of loses it
falling apart.
relatively quickly.
But I think
and maybe that's the point.
around this time when he starts getting involved with the kind of crazy lady.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's whenever his world
That
starts
is.
sort of falling
Yeah,
apart.
And
and,
maybe-
that's
and
kind
that's
of where it
probably the
starts turning
point.
into a little bit of a horror movie, where he starts locking
starts,
himself into his apartment, puts all the furniture against the doors and everything.
Everything starts kind of falling apart for him, and then they kill her, and then he like loses it.
So I guess that works to y'all's point that is like his true love interest. He got some kind of weird control over him.
Also,
and
how
maybe,
did she know where he lived? She just showed up at his house that day. Do you remember that?
look, like we
Yeah.
said,
Okay.
those questions are
Okay,
better
another
left
question.
unasked.
Do you think so? Yes, I think no matter what language this movie was in, there would have been
Would've
some
been
serious
insane.
plot stuff, and it would have been a little
It's not
crazy.
surprising this guy
But-
didn't make another movie for years.
But what I mean, so what if, like, let's say that we understood the language, or let's say it was even in English.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it would have made more sense? The plot there would have been a little bit more of a plot
Maybe.
because it would have, like, we would have understood the
I guess without knowledge,
intricacies
yes.
of like the language and the body, like
It
the
could have
verbal
been.
and body language and whatever. Like,
What's the word? Idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
And
right?
I
Yeah.
think, and I don't want to sound racist at all here. I do not mean to be, but in
I don't like where this is headed.
Never,
then.
never
But the
want to
thing is-
preface a sentence with this.
I know,
but
but
continue.
in Outrage, I felt like
I'm
that
not
was
a
a little.
racist, but
It was a little bit tough in Outrage for me to tell who was on what team, just because I'm not.
Okay,
so
no.
used
Look,
to-
don't feel bad. This is something that is scientifically proven. Everybody is less adept at recognizing the details in different races in terms of differentiating between
Yeah.
people.
it took me about
Which-
half of Outrage to figure it out.
Yeah.
and then I was in. But like,
That-
yes,
I
was
felt.
same
I
thing.
feel like that might be like if this was an American movie,
And
it
they
might
were
be.
speaking English. Maybe there would have felt like more of a plot. We would have understood it maybe a little better.
It
Yeah.
was. I mean, I doubt it.
Because so we're dealing with the language barrier, but we're also dealing with the.
It
like
still would have been
crazy-
pretty obscure, I think.
It's
but yeah.
still obscure. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no real plot points to point through. I thought the action was great.
There was kind of that. There really kind of was a plot. It just wasn't well.
It
wasn't well connected. Like there was basically the whole thing was about him killing those other people and how they were all connected.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Wait, why did? Because
So
they were skimming off the top.
He
or
got
something?
four
Yes.
names, and like they
and
were all
those
connected.
assassination scenes, I thought those were very. I
were
love
good.
those because that was one
I like
example
the
where there was no
optometrist.
music throughout any of that.
I like
and
the
yeah,
optometrist.
Yeah.
Like, the optometrist takes that person's eyeball out of their face, and then he just like pops
I think
it
it's
back
a
in.
glass eye. But yeah, but
but
still,
still,
a
like,
little aggressive,
And then
bro.
he just like
and whenever he gets
How'd
on
you
the
get-
hot air
where'd you get your
balloon,
degree from?
when he gets on the hot air balloon and then starts
General
floating
studies.
up to the top. There, did y'all ever see Ghost Dog? That movie with Forrest Whitaker where he's an assassin. It steals.
I've heard about Ghost
It
Dog.
steals a scene straight from this movie, wherever he shoots someone through the pipe of the sink.
Yes, isn't he like an LA ninja or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
in Ghost
LA
Dog?
Ninja.
But the thing is, I was looking it up. The
I can't
influence
imagine
that this
Forrest
movie has
Whitaker
had.
being a ninja.
The influence this movie has had is massive. Like, there's almost every big filmmaker cites this as, and I can see why, as like a playground of ideas and stylistic.
Yes, because that's what it
quirks.
is. It's like
Yeah.
it's like these little vignettes. It's almost like a YouTube collaboration
Yes.
of
Yeah.
scenes,
Yes,
less than like a
that's what it
less
seems
than
like.
like a full
and that's
movie.
what I meant earlier. Like if I'd watched these scenes individually, I'd been like, this is
Like
cool.
the
Yeah.
fight scene on the docks where he
Yeah.
has to hook up the rope
Oh,
and
that
he's
was
crawling
so cool.
underneath
Even
the
their
car.
scenes together like would have been really cool to watch by themselves.
Yeah.
I
And-
guess it falls apart when you're sitting there and I'm constantly searching for some deeper
I don't know,
meaning.
but maybe
Like
We're
if you're asked
searching
like
for
what
these
is
connections.
this movie? What's it about?
But
I
now-
would just say it's about a badass assassin.
And now that we've talked
it's-
about it though, maybe I kind of like it a lot.
That's the thing. This movie's really stuck with me more than I not think about it, but
I get that there's no plot, but again, you got to just be okay with that.
yeah. And the stuff with the butterflies.
That
That's
was-
like
and the
whenever all
birds, birds too.
yeah, how he's got like birds as this ornament for this.
And then a butterfly lands on his gun. That's what makes him mess up.
Yeah.
Well, I was convinced for a second that she had like telepathic controls over the
was able
butterfly.
to-
and that's
I don't
where-
know. Maybe now
that's
that
where
we've
it was
talked about
going.
it, maybe I do really like this movie.
It's definitely improved.
It's a strange
since
movie.
talking about it.
It is weird. It's
it is-
bizarre.
like this has opened my eyes. It's
We just
kind of
needed
changed
to
my outlook on it. I still
Workshop
don't-
some of this, but
If I was gonna show this at a party, I would need like
I would
30
not show it
minutes
at a
to
party.
prep you. Yeah,
let's start there.
it would depend on the type of party. That is
I
true.
would say that I would, but I agree with where you were going, which is if you're going to recommend this movie, it needs to be heavily prefaced.
Yeah.
You need to explain to people what they're getting into. That this is not going to be maybe what you're expecting. Last thing I would say on it, the number one assassin was a mixture of being very good and then just really bad at his job.
Can also
Yeah, he drew that out a lot.
can I say something?
Yeah.
I called it in my mind. I knew that the guy in the back seat of that car in the very beginning was the number one assassin.
Oh, really?
I was like, yeah, that guy seems too calm for all this.
That's actually a really good point. He wasn't freaking out at all
At
when they were trying
all.
to kill him.
No, not at all. It seemed very. I very much knew that was the guy.
So this is a movie that I guess it's so out there and so odd that my big takeaway may be that I didn't like it almost at all when I was watching it.
Me either.
And now talking about it's actually a bit more fun. It's a bit better than maybe I realized.
Maybe watching it a second time too would have helped. Like
Yeah, and that was just. I mean, in terms of watching
realizing
it
how
from,
you needed to watch it and then going back and watching it from that perspective.
that's true.
That
I
might
almost
have
feel
helped.
like I should do that.
I know, me too.
Well, where did y'all watch it?
Home.
Amazon.
Well, I mean, like, how did you get it? Because I went down
You
to.
didn't go to the theaters?
I watched Amazon.
No, I
yeah.
was sitting next to the fountain by the Shaw Center.
Amazon.
Okay,
I was
all
at home
right.
again.
I borrowed your Tokyo Drifter Blu-ray, which
How
I
was
have in
it?
my car. It's great, beautiful quality.
Very cool.
So
Do you
anything
wanna-
else on Brandon to Kill?
I don't know.
I
I
think
think
that
we're
was
good. Yeah, man, I did not expect the conversation to go as positively as it went.
It did go. It went really
It did
well.
go. I was not expecting that either.
They
It's
a lot
steaming.
of sex, a lot of
Lot of
like
sex.
I said,
Look,
it's like a vignette. It's like a compilation of YouTube videos.
Yeah, if you want to watch a lot of sex, this is the one.
Even for today, I'd be surprised if there was a movie in the theater
But
that had that
we
much.
didn't really talk about this, and we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about it. But like, there was a lot of like violence towards women in this movie, which was a little.
That's what
I
I
did
was-
read a little bit, and
touch
that
and go.
translated weird. Apparently, it was some commentary on the amount of it was kind of supposed to be done satirically with other Japanese movies. I mean, that didn't translate at all.
He
for
basically
me.
was just hitting his wife, like slapping his wife around. Like,
Yeah.
which
I just
kinda
figured
sucks.
she was kind of into that. That was kind
but,
of her thing.
But she looked kind of in. So that's why I was a little confused. Like he would slap her, and she would be like into it.
Yeah. And it kind of like with that movie, The Hateful Eight, like those people treat each other
like
terribly,
a
but
fine
they're all
line. There's just a
terrible.
fine
They're all
line,
bad
you know?
people.
When you go back and
Yeah.
it's different time. It's the '60s
For sure.
The culture's
Not
different.
that they were
But
right.
that's
for
interesting.
hitting
It could be a bit satirical, where maybe like other Japanese movies are doing that more seriously, and this was kind of his
Yeah.
play on it. Either way, you're right. That is not ideal.
It was a thing.
No.
Yeah.
It would be a little hard to watch that movie as a female, I guess. There's not.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say.
No, there's really only a few scenes where he did that, but like
Crazy Chicks.
it was very. He did it. He went for it.
He did. All right, so that is Branded to Kill.
Yeah.
We are going to jump nearly 40 years into the future, as now we will talk about Outrage.
Yeah, this movie actually got a pretty big theatrical release in the States, and it's a trilogy now. Like it's done great.
I'm gonna go finish
in-
this trilogy.
Yeah, I would like to
It's-
watch the other two.
It's a lot of fun, and this one is also it's more in the art house stable a little bit. Like this
What do you
was
mean by
big
art
in
house
the
stable?
like the art house crowd. Like this movie got big because it played in art house.
It was like a
theaters.
cult. It was like a.
Oh,
I actually
yeah.
read a little bit about this afterwards, and
Oh, yeah?
it didn't do well at first.
Not
Is
at
that-
first,
and
no.
but then it was like now it's like a cult fave. Or
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I mean, I love this movie. This is my favorite of 3. Spoiler alert by
But
far.
the director
Nobody
is
else say theirs. We shouldn't
this
do that.
guy
It's
right
my
here.
bad.
This is the director.
Oh,
No,
what?
you're
Yeah.
kidding me.
Yeah.
Otomo?
Ikamoto?
Yeah. He's
Wait,
the
did
director.
I say his right name?
No, Ikamoto. It took me
Yeah,
forever to get him
Ikamoto
on straight,
is
too.
Oh,
the
so he's
guy that
having-
gives him the job.
He's
his
technically
boss.
Ikamoto's
Yeah.
his boss in the
Underling.
beginning.
He's his underboss.
Ikamoto's the one who keeps showing up at the casino.
Okay, so Ikamoto, and then his name is what?
Otomo.
Otomo. That-
He's the guy from Battle Royale. The
Okay.
teacher in Battle
Oh,
Royale.
yeah, that's
Okay.
the teacher in Battle Royale.
But his name is
He's the director. That's crazy.
Takeshi Kitano. He's been a director for like the last 25 years. He started out as a very successful stand-up comedian.
Really?
Can
No
you
way.
imagine him as a stand-up
This guy
comedian?
looks so funny.
Comedians are always, a lot of times I find comedians are way more smart than they maybe get credit for, because when your job is to just create, like, first off, just creating humor is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
But generally it's because you're viewing the world and kind of interpreting it through your own
But imagine
lens. So I don't
trying
find
to-
that surprising.
Imagine trying to break through from comedy to this.
I know.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, imagine like Kevin
Well,
Hart.
well, it's like
Imagine Kevin Hart being in like a Godfather.
it's like
movie.
Al Franken becoming a U.S. senator,
That's
right?
true.
Or it's
before
like
he
Jordan
wasn't.
Jordan Peele creating Get Out.
That's
horror
true.
Movie.
And then
That is true.
Kumar ended up working at the White
White
House.
House.
That was
with,
weird.
President Obama.
That is true.
So
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, but
It is weird.
That's
It
a
is-
great factoid.
Yeah, that is a
though.
fun
Yeah.
fact.
Okay, so what's some other outrage background?
Yes. Let's see. So he made a lot more art house movies in the early 2000s and wanted to make a movie whose sole goal was to entertain. So he wanted to make a Yakuza movie. The script started out as just a list of creative ways for people to be killed. That was how
That's
the script
awesome.
started.
That makes sense.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So the story is Sakuchi, who is the head of the Sanoki group, orders the head of the
Wait,
Ikonoma.
what's the head guy's name?
The chairman.
Sakuchi.
Sakuchi.
Yes.
Oh wait, so that's the chairman, Sakuchi.
That's the guy like in the beginning who's wearing all white.
yeah.
Yes.
Sakuchi.
He orders the head of the Ikonoma family to get the Muras family under control for drug trafficking because Muras and Ikonoma kind of got tight in
Like they went to
prison.
jail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're bros.
Yeah.
They were drinking sake together in
Yeah,
jail.
yeah.
So
Which is
Ikonoma,
like a crazy thing that you can do that.
yeah, that is.
Like
I'm
drink
sure
sake.
if you're
Look,
a
in the
Yakuza,
U.S., they have the
That's true.
bathroom wine.
That's true.
People in jail are
like
incredibly
even in
adept at-
Goodfellas, you see how like the gangster
That's
people are
true.
like making dinner for each other.
That's the
true,
best.
that's
That's one of the all-time great scenes in Goodfellas.
But Ikonoma passes the job on to Otomo's crew,
Yep.
this guy. And Ikonoma tells Otomo to kind of rattle up this family because he feels like he is losing some of the confidence of the head of everyone. So what then ensues is how he shakes up this family, and it turns into just all-out war. People killing
It's
everyone.
crazy.
People killing everyone in every possible way that you
Oh
can
yeah.
imagine.
What's the dentist scene?
I was about to say, what is so? If everybody had to
Okay,
pick,
you wanna
a-
start there?
like-
Most brutal
like,
kill,
everybody
most
pick.
brut-
Everybody pick their favorite or slash like most. Brutal.
What hurt the most? for you?
The chopsticks in the ear.
Ah, terrible. So
Oh.
it hurts so bad, dude. And then do they chop off his finger as well?
I
And
don't.
then
I
they
don't
do
think-
something
they
else.
They take the cleaver and
Yeah,
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I had already looked away and I saw them reaching for the cleaver and I was like, I can't.
Chopsticks in the ear is. I mean, you can't get more brutal than the dentist scene, though. Taking
I'll
the
go
drill.
And they
That didn't
kept
really kill
and
him.
they kept going.
But,
Yeah,
and they
but
turned
dude,
it
they
into a
just-
hilarious moment because the very next thing you see is him with sunglasses on with the
so
mask.
for those of you
And he
listening,
can't talk, and they're just giving
the
this
guy
shit
is
deal.
basically sitting in a dentist chair and he's like kind of like got his eyes closed. He's got his mask on and he's ready for the dentist to come in. And
The Yakuza
say his
come
name
in.
again, whatever.
Otomo.
Otomo. It's him, isn't it? Otomo comes in.
Yeah.
And he like takes
He's
the
amazing. He's
you know
a
the thing
great
that they
actor.
grind your teeth down with. He takes that and he just sticks it in his
Just
mouth
wiggles
and just
it around in his
wiggles
mouth.
it
Wiggling
around
it and keeps
there's
going.
and there's and
Keeps
that's not
going.
even the worst
He
part.
talks to him
the
while he's doing it.
blood is just is shooting everywhere. It's all over. And then the very next scene, he's sitting in a room, like not dead, with just like a mask over his face.
And they're making him take this shit deal that ends his career, and he can't even argue. He can't say anything
He
because
can't
his
say
mouth
anything.
has been
The near
shredded.
decapitation was pretty tough
Ooh.
too. Towards the end.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they put a person in a car. They put a noose around his neck. They then tie that noose to a pole, and they drive off at full speed, so it jerks him out of the vehicle. It was that was brutal.
Can we
was
talk
really
about how sorry I feel for the embassy that they end up taking over?
The Ghana.
The Ghana
That
guy.
guy. That was hilarious, though. I thought the way that they did some of that. I mean, it was nasty and it was brutal, but there was
That
like
guy
a little
just-
bit of humor.
He was
to,
the comedic relief.
That
Yeah.
guy
he was
wanted to have
absolutely
sex,
the comedic relief.
and he got called up.
And then
Yeah.
he
got called
sees
up.
her later in the casino.
that was
But why
good
does
entrapment.
Why doesn't he quit then and there?
That's the thing. I feel like at that point he didn't even
He's,
want
like,
to
so
go up
far
against
in,
him.
yeah.
He's still deep in though, right? That
He's
was
in.
just for them to be able to then create this casino. Like even if he's not guilty of murder, he's still guilty
He's
of
guilty
running
of
an
other
illegal
stuff.
casino outside of his embassy at that point.
And I do. One of
And
my favorite
drugs.
things about this is, like you had texted us how it reminded you of Goodfellas, the way with gangster movies where it does create this massive family tree. I
Well,
love the way that it does that.
And
type of
everyone's
thing.
plotting against everyone.
Yeah, everyone has
like-
this really, even
Well-
at the end, everyone even individually has these messed up schemes, these intricate schemes.
In the very last scene, the guy shoots the chairman. Like you're like, what?
To me, it goes back to what we kind of discussed among the assassin rankings, that paradox of structure among chaos, where you have a hyper-structured hierarchy in this movie especially.
Yeah.
With the father, the son, the brother relationships. Okay, this family's here. This family's like a subclass of this family.
Yeah.
And yet, despite all of that, and despite the fact, like a Goodfellas or like the Mafia or something, they want to hold themselves with, like, we have rules and we have this or that.
Right.
You don't really. At the end of the day, you're still just violent thugs. Like, all these guys are still just killing each other. Everybody's looking out for number one. And one thing that the chairman does very well, even though poetically, fittingly, in the end, it gets him caught up anyway, the chairman does that thing where sometimes the best way to ensure that you remain on top is to give everybody underneath you different targets to look
Well,
at.
that's what I was about
And
to
so he
ask. What
just
did he have to
constantly-
gain from that?
I think it is solely to make sure nobody is coming after
Because
his spot.
also, what was the name
he
of
was
the
he was
family that he
putting
tells him to go after? The
Ikamoto?
Yes. Yes, that was it. Because they're doing drug trafficking, which is like the same plot point that gets The Godfather rolling, is that we don't do drug trafficking, so stop them from doing
Yeah,
it.
and he
Well-
is so. Yes, that is, but and that is, I think that is a reason why. I also don't think you can discount, though. It makes his position
Oh, yeah.
safer if everybody underneath him is
But
squabbling
he
amongst
makes
each
so
other.
many deals with so many different people. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think that's what he's doing. Is he is getting everybody to eliminate each other, get a fresh crop of people in there. They'll be, because people, when you get a promotion, you're happy for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Then you want another promotion. To me, it felt like he was burning down the old field and planning to plant a new crop, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna get new people in here. And then of course he ends up getting done in the end
you
as
know
well.
what's
then.
funny? There's a scene, the scene where I don't know his name, but he's the guy that they got hustled in that club, and then he goes back to his family. He's like, we have to go to my office to get the
yeah.
money.
Yes,
that guy.
yes,
So
yes.
then he's at dinner later with a bunch of people telling the story, and he's like, ha ha ha, and the other guy's like, tells a joke about him.
Yeah.
Like they're all laughing, and then he gets mad, and he's mad, and whatever. And it reminded me so much of that scene, I think Goodfellas, where it's like
Funny-
Danny-
funny how.
funny how, like
funny
ha, ha.
like a clown.
Yeah. It reminded me so much of that scene.
Yeah.
And,
Well, look, when you're dealing with people who kill and rob and steal for a living, the
It's just
the,
a dick
the
measuring
pride.
competition.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
that's exactly
it's
what it
like
is.
it's like who can be the most alpha.
like they probably
alpha.
didn't think that you were a Yakuza. You don't look like a Yakuza. Like,
Yeah.
Bitch.
yeah.
And that is weird. When they start talking English, it is a massive shift. Like they
not
almost
shouting.
seem foreign, even more foreign than they were before.
Well, no, the one guy speaks beautiful English.
No, and that was what was weird when he started speaking
the
English.
guy
like,
that kind of looks like the guy from SVU.
And if you
He has
notice,
he has lenses.
he does.
Transitional
I know who you're
lenses.
talking about. I know who you're talking about. And he was actually the only guy who made it out.
He did. He
Him
was
and-
sitting next to
yeah.
the chairman at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah, but
No, he didn't make it out. He ended up dying.
No. The
'Cause-
financial guy.
Because the guy that ended up killing the chairman,
Yeah.
he killed everybody that was up there.
No, wait. I'd have to rewatch. I thought the guy
No
who
one was
killed
alive whenever.
But at the very end, when you see the new chairman, and now it's the second in command
Yeah.
guy who's
Yeah.
wearing the new gear, the financial guy's right next to
Oh,
him.
you're right. You're right.
Because they're talking about now we're in stocks,
Got it,
we're in
yeah.
drugs, we're in all this
Got
stuff.
it,
Like now
you're
we're
right.
making money.
You're right. Oh my gosh, the cop.
oh, champ. You call everyone champ.
He was good. So okay, so I really like. I love, like I said, I love the hierarchy of this movie and kind of what it says about gangsters thinking they're this more disciplined breed probably
Yeah.
than they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Like they think they have all these rules and they just break them constantly and kill each other. And I like kind of the representation of the power dynamics and how, like, can you imagine how terrifying it would be? And this is like, I guess, being like a monarch or something, but in a word, just how terrifying it would be being at the head of a criminal organization, because
Right.
by its very definition, these
Yeah.
people don't follow the rules. So
Yeah.
how do you
They're coming
keep
for
everybody
you.
in line?
They're coming for
yeah.
you. Also, I guess I didn't realize until you said that just a minute ago. I mean, I knew that they were cutting each other's fingers off and stuff in this movie, but But that's like a thing. That's a Yakuza thing.
Yeah, I really liked how it showed that they do have some honor. Like, whenever the guy brings the finger and they says, that's not enough, that could be anyone's finger. Like, you're bringing the message, you cut off your finger. Like, he actually did it. He went and
He
cut
took
it,
that
started
gross, dull
box
knife.
cutter
Oh.
and tried to chop up his own. That was pretty insane.
Oh, the worst thing was when
Atoma?
Atoma, man, when he cut his finger off and to take to the chairman, the guy was like, "We don't do that anymore.
I'd be
Like,
so
we don't care about
pissed,
that."
dude.
I just, what? I just cut my finger
It just
off.
cut off my whole damn finger, man.
I
What the
know,
hell?
like what?
I
We could have
really-
made those rules clear. I feel like.
in the first few, I mean, the other two movies, you know, the camera's like all over the place all the time. I loved in the first scene, well, I guess the second scene, wherever the cars go down and then you see the title credits. You just think they're the title credits, but then you see that they're being followed, and it's that same shot, and you see the other string of cars coming down. I thought that was really well done.
Wait,
Wait, hold on. Explain this.
Like when they leave that meeting,
Yes.
you see the row of cars of the family that
Yes.
just left, the guy you just disciplined. And it goes by, and the camera stays like looking above the trees down the road, and you see the title credits come up, and you just think they're the title credits. But then you start to see that another whole train of cars is following them from far behind, and it's like hold the shot for like a minute, which I thought it felt like the movie was a lot more restrained. Like it was pretty still. Like most of the shots were pretty
Oh, well,
static.
that's
movie.
probably my favorite part is how this movie begins versus how it ends,
Yeah.
and how that is indicative of, once again, the true nature of these gangsters. Because it begins with this very regimented and it's a nice dinner, and and all the captains are eating
Everyone's
with the chairman, and
laughing
everybody's
and-
outside, and yes, everything's very peaceful and organized and structured, and then by the end it's total chaos.
Total chaos.
Everywhere. And that speaks to, like I said, the true nature thing. So I actually, the second I ended this movie, I went immediately back and watched the first scene again, just because it really reinforces just how off the rails things got compared to how everybody's getting along at the beginning.
A lot of people died.
I mean, everybody is dying by the end of this movie. Everybody.
And it's funny to think that it did. I mean, I can see how the script just started as a list of ways that people can die, and then just funnel that through a family tree.
Well, old boy with the who tried to cut his finger off with the X-Acto knife, he was actually one of the lone survivors, and you forget about him for
Yeah.
the vast
forget about him for
majority
the
of the
entire
movie.
Apparently in the next
What
movie.
year did you say this movie was shot?
2009.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was 2010. Was it 09?
Oh, let me see.
I don't know.
I
I
might
mean, it
be
doesn't
wrong.
matter, but it's the
But
same.
it's-
It's
yeah.
that time
Okay,
period.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what I was thinking.
Less than 10 years.
I would absolutely recommend this movie. I think it's the most relatable of the three. It's definitely something that we're more used to in terms of
the plot is
the
almost
shape and structure of a movie.
The plot is almost so intricate that I feel like I need to watch it another time to really understand
That
the
is true.
curves that everyone takes.
Well,
to
that's
kill
another
who.
reason why I went back, because I even feel like I missed like one line in the setup that kind of set me back for the first half of this movie. Like you need to be very clear. If you want to get the full enjoyment, you need to be very clear off the bat. Who is Marasi? Who is Ikamoto? Who is Otomo? If you can get that straight in your head, then you're going to enjoy this a lot more, because then you see all the power dynamics against each other.
You said you had seen the other two?
I had seen the second one. I have not seen the third one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think the second one's on Netflix. I'm not sure. Beyond Outrage.
but look, I think it's very well acted. Like I said, be ready for a heavy dose of Japanese male shouting.
I will say yes, in all
a
of
lot.
them.
It's just like their conversations will be chilling one second, the next second he's like, "What'd you say? Come here,
But he's just-
You disrespect the Akinomo family.
beat your ass."
but they're really just being like, "Hey, how are you?" Like that's what it's like.
I love the way that they do that in that language. Like,
Yeah,
like it starts slow, it
there's a
curves
name
almost.
there's a name for something. It's very expressive. It's very dramatic. Yeah, I think it's I've always enjoyed it. I love it. What is the term for that? I don't know.
I was a little nervous going into this. Didn't know how I was going to feel about these movies, and I really liked them.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh,
I'm,
cool.
I'm happy that we did this. I would have never, ever done this by myself.
No. I don't think I would have either.
But it made me appreciate Real Friends a lot more, because I was thinking about it. I mean, a lot of the movies that we have done in Real Friends I've seen before.
Yeah.
But like I like that we're getting into places that make me a little uncomfortable movie wise.
That's a good
because I
point.
would really never have chosen these movies by myself, and
a really good point.
now I feel better for having seen them. I
We
like
got to
them.
get you some hyper-violent Korean movies.
Hey.
Me and Nate
Yeah,
were
see,
talking
that
about-
was where we started with this, talking
I
about.
saw the devil. I saw
we
the
dodged
devil's
that bullet
incredible.
then, didn't
No,
we?
you want to
no.
see I saw
if
the
we
devil.
had made you watch I Saw the Devil, that would have. I mean, like, this is very violent. That movie is.
The violent thing didn't really bother me. I mean, the chopsticks in the ears.
I guess
were
it's
kinda
not
weird,
even
but-
that. It's almost more like a perverted type of
This
violence.
really?
this violence, what I liked about Outrage is the violence is not just violence porn. It's not violence for violence sake.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they're doing has a much deeper meaning. Whether it's cutting off a pinky in terms of like settling a debt.
Yeah.
Just everything
I
has
don't
a
know.
when they-
I feel like the chopstick thing could have been
I
avoided
mean-
because that guy really didn't know much.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that
they
was-
went for it before they even realized he didn't know much.
If you
They were a
like
little
if
extreme.
you like violence, then this is a great movie.
Oh,
Then-
yeah.
Like even the way that they talk about how the guy that died from almost being decapitated died, like he was killed in almost a disrespectful, one of the worst possible ways that you could be killed in this business, which is like near decapitation. That was
true.
pretty interesting. How like it wasn't just
Well,
violence,
just
like,
the whole culture, the whole Yakuza culture, I felt like was much more on display in this movie
Yes.
than
Than the
the
other.
other two.
especially
Yeah.
The
Brandon
other
to
two were
Kill.
very
That one
loose.
almost felt like Brandon
That
to
didn't
Kill
feel like
didn't
a
have.
Yakuza.
I would have
film.
never guessed that Brandon Kill was a Yakuza movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was completely just like an assassin movie.
One
Yeah.
thing I would like to mention about Brandon to Kill that I forgot that I just really liked.
The rice cooker?
No, when they would kill people and they got shot in their head, the makeup work.
Oh god.
Wait,
Like
would
with the
tell-
bullet, you could tell that someone had
It was
just
so
like
bad,
placed
dude. It
something
was so
on their
bad.
forehead. to
Maybe
make
it looked
look
better
like-
before HD televisions.
I mean,
right?
Maybe
I mean,
so.
I
Maybe.
imagine you couldn't
Plus,
see the
what,
details.
you had to work with what you had. I mean, it was in the
Oh yeah,
whatever.
no,
But I
I mean
mean, you
the
can
studio was ready to
see.
kick him out.
You can clearly see that this is just like a little
Piece of, like,
prosthetic that
yeah,
people had put
like
on
Play-Doh
there.
on your
Yes.
head.
It's great in Tokyo Drifter how like people will be shot and then they like won't have any blood on them. They like run up to them and then there's a bullet wound.
They make no. I love that, and it's because the movies are from the '60s, so it makes sense from a
Yeah.
special effects standpoint. They don't make a big effort to show like any bullet holes or
Yeah.
anything ever. Just a lot of and like
Yeah.
falling over dramatically, and then the guns are just like pow pow, they're like
Clearly
pop guns.
blanks.
Which
Yeah.
movie
Yes.
was it? I think it was Brandon to Kill. I don't know. Wait, which movie was it? The very beginning started with almost like a lightsaber looking scene where they were like, it was like purple. It was like purple shots. Was that? I guess it couldn't
must have been Tokyo
it had to be
Drifter.
Tokyo
It sounds
Drifter.
like it was Tokyo Drifter.
because they didn't have any color. The other
Yeah.
one was totally black and white. But there was a scene, and it was like right in the beginning, and I was like, I need to remember to talk about this. Scene,
I did like
where
how
it's just him, and he's jumping around, and he's shooting his
Oh
gun.
yes, no,
that was
that is
that was
Tokyo
when they talk
Drifter.
about him.
And,
yeah,
it,
the
and it
first
was
scene.
just like this purple streak. That
Well,
was
that's
like,
when he's like, "Hey, don't mess with this guy." Like, if
and
you
that was
make
like just
him
a
mad
stylized
3
thing.
times.
He's like got a black background. He's not shooting at anyone. He's just
he's just yeah. It looks like a
like
lightsaber.
Sundance
Yeah.
and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
That's
Kid.
what it
See,
looked
to me
like.
though, that felt, and I've not seen the old James Bond, so that's actually a
Oh,
few
yeah.
times.
That was
so we need
actually
to-
very.
it
That
felt
was very.
James Bond.
Okay, yeah, I can
Little
see
like-
that. But I loved that part. It like
Yeah.
didn't make sense to me there. But
Japanese
like, it's fun.
Bond.
Boom, 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 boom. But ooh, now we need to do an old Bond.
I've never
episode.
seen any of those.
Neither have I.
Those are pretty cool.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And they flip the car.
Sean Connery.
I've seen that scene.
I feel like we got to go not action next though.
No, yeah. I think the next one does need to be.
Does
pretty
anybody have any
mainstream.
ideas? Okay, so those are 3 movies. We'll rank them in a second. Anybody have any ideas about where the next
What if we
episode
did
should
our?
go?
What? Oh, I
No,
guess so.
I think y'all go. Y'all should definitely because I mean you said like
No, I was
run with the
complicit. I was
Yakuza thing
complicit. I was
and I ran
complicit.
with it.
No,
with that movie
no.
choice.
Look, like I said, I am very happy that you guys did it.
Yeah.
I would have never done it myself, and I'm happy to have seen these movies. So, what if we did something like a little lighter? What if we did like Disney movies?
I'm into
Or-
it.
See, I could go with.
I'm
some,
absolutely
like,
into it.
I could
Let's
go
do
with some
Disney movies.
I was Paige and I were texting the other day about how Snow White's almost 100 years old.
Right? Wait, something else turned.
That is
19 years. We have 19 years to go
What?
until it's 100
Something
years old.
turned
Snow
80
White is
the other day.
81.
Yeah,
Some, or was it Snow White that turned 80 the other day?
that must have been. It was
Okay, okay.
37.
Okay.
There was a
1937.
great comic in our sexual harassment seminar where it's Snow White complaining that these men just whistle at me while we're working all day. Get it? They whistle while you
That was
work.
pretty funny.
Well, we could all pick our favorite
It's a
one.
funny class. 2 hours with a sexual harassment
Do y'all,
training.
have y'all seen Aristocats?
Yes,
think so.
I
Oh.
don't think I want it on that.
Okay, all
it's
right,
a
that's-
good movie. I liked it as a
Well-
kid.
Well, it's tough with Disney movies because kids just grow up with one of them or a few of them, and then that's
a nostalgia
classic
play,
to
that's
them.
true.
Well, how about
Yeah.
this? We'll do Disney movies.
There's a lot I haven't
and we
seen,
will talk about it, and we'll let you guys know so you
Yeah.
can watch these Disney movies with us.
I'm good. Do we? do we want to set in with Disney movies?
Or we don't have to set in, but I do.
It's a good launching point. It is a pretty wide target though,
There's a
so
lot
we
of
may
wide-
have to narrow down a little more.
Maybe.
Like, do we go Disney animated? I'm guessing.
No, yes, I guess when I
would
was
feel
thinking Disney
Disney.
movies, I was thinking Disney animated.
So then I would think like, okay, so you probably want to do all Disney hand drawns then, right? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you want to go from hand drawn. Maybe you do
I
like
was thinking old school Disney animated
Like
films.
before Toy Story
Okay, old
CGI
school.
stuff.
See, but then
So hand-drawn.
you could also do like Snow White, then somewhere in the middle, and then like a recent
Where's
Pixar
Dumb-
offering, and you do the chronological gamut.
I feel like, yeah.
I feel like we've got a ballpark to work in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We're
So
going
we'll
Disney.
we'll hammer this stuff down. It'll be something Disney.
Yeah.
Let's rank these movies before we get out of here. Finally,
How do you want to do this?
we can
Do we
start
want to
with
do our number
Rivers.
threes?
Yeah, we'll go 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Okay. I think my 3 is going to be Tokyo Drifter now.
Wow.
I did it.
Wow. Okay.
I did it.
More
Y'all
power
changed
to
it.
you.
You changed my mind.
I'm
Cool.
sorry that I played a
That's
part in
pretty
that.
cool.
No, I'm just kidding. What is your number 3, Nathan?
My number 3, I am probably gonna go for Outrage, just because I see. I love that's the thing. Like even last, I think
I
Rivers
can't believe
with
you moved out of the frame for this. I love a screenshot
Oh
of.
my god! I was trying to look at the camera and do it.
I
Wow.
no, I mean, I do
Teach
love
their
it.
own. Teach
I
their
really
own.
like it, and I mean, it is the much more conventional movie, and it
Well, maybe that works against it in this sense. It is the most conventional.
Yeah,
like it
and-
felt the most familiar.
like I saw a lot of The Godfather. I
Yeah.
saw a lot of Goodfellas,
Yeah.
which was good. It was fun. I love that type of thing.
I will. I'm gonna go Brandon to Kill as my number 3. Although I
You're
like
poor.
it far better.
We all had a different number 3.
Yeah,
We
different
did.
number 3.
First time maybe that's happened. Although I did like it much better now after talking about it. I see a little more of the merit and value there. I still don't love it, and I'm still almost having to work extra hard to like it. Like during the movie, I'm like, I know this is cool somewhere, and I'm trying to connect with it, and I just
Yeah,
wasn't
it just
giving
yeah.
it to me.
It was rubbing the wrong way the whole time.
Yeah, and so like I would struggle to recommend it to someone unless I know they love movies
Yeah.
and could appreciate it from like the, look how out there this is.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so we'll go back this way now. So that was my number 3. My number 2 is going to be Tokyo Drifter. I really like Tokyo Drifter. I would recommend Tokyo Drifter devoid of any qualifying factors. But yeah, a little bit of the weak middle pushes it to 2 for me.
Mine would be Branded to Kill. Just, I mean, I think it's cool. I love I love all the cinematic tricks in it. I love the history that has grown with it, being able to look up, read so much about it. Yeah, and I mean, while I love all that stuff, the fact that there isn't, I mean, it's nice whenever there is a plot that pushes you throughout the entire movie, and it does not have that. I even still thought when watching it, like what is he doing assassinating all of these people on the rooftop over there?
There, to me, there almost could have been a better way to tie it together to where I don't feel like I have to rewind because
But I
I
think
feel
that-
like I missed something.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
language barrier did not help with that, though.
Probably.
I think that
It was
Yeah.
it
Oh, no, I
exacerbated
think
the
so.
situation.
I think
Yeah.
so. But I love the style. I love the. I almost feel like the style made me have an emotional response with it because it created this really strange, just atmosphere in the movie
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed. So that would be one.
Nice.
Brandon to Kill would be my number 2.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like very cool. It almost felt very like deliberately hipstery.
Very
Like
much.
I
It
can
did feel
imagine.
very. Yeah.
I can imagine someone trying to like make that movie
I am ready.
now.
I'm ready to see this in a coffee shop
It felt
Yes.
at night.
like
One night.
Well,
yes.
it
like Beatnik. It seemed
Yeah.
like very like 60s.
that's what, yes.
Like-
Like
that's
whenever
it.
the scene,
Like-
whenever he told his client like we're in trouble, a jazz theme started playing.
Yes, the jazz. I loved the music
Yeah.
in this.
That's a very good point. I did not.
I
know
really
that.
did.
Y'all ever watch Cowboy Bebop?
Uh-huh.
Very reminds me of Cowboy Bebop
Oh, really?
a lot.
Maybe I'll get into that, 'cause I was into this.
It's a cartoon, very good anime.
Well, I liked the music. I liked the feeling of that
Anime.
like beatnik, like hipstery. I love like a hipstery thing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
And then after talking about it, as far as the plot goes,
Yeah.
I'm cool with just being with it and like it not needing a super plot. I don't mind it because I think it's so beautiful.
And you can tell that this director comes from the 60s because it looks like he's like purposefully going against conventional filmmaking both in this and Tokyo Drifter. Like when you think about some of those shots that seem random but they're kind of very arty feeling in Tokyo
Yeah.
Drifter, the beginning had a lot of those like static kind of mundane shots.
Yeah.
And so and then obviously Brandon Kill's just super unconventional. So he's just going let your freak flag fly. My number one. Or wait, no. Okay, so we just went back that way. So no, you do your number one.
Outrage is my number one. I liked it. I mean, again, I think it was the closest to our time, so it was the easiest for me
to relate to.
And it was the first one I watched too, so that was probably good. It's probably good that I watched. First.
I watched Brandon
because if
to
I watched
Kill
Brandon to Kill first,
I
would
was
have been
worried
like,
y'all were
I'm
gonna
out.
do that.
I'm
after
out.
I saw it.
I'm out.
I watched it second, and I was
okay.
like,
Do you want to
so
know
you
why?
watched Tokyo Drifter first?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I watched this
Tokyo
one.
Drifter
It
was
just
dope.
happened that it worked out this way because this one was on Google Play and like.
Oh, nice.
And I can stream that to my TV. So you can't do Amazon. So I had to watch. So I had to like connect my computer. It was a whole thing.
2018.
So I was like, this is the easiest way for me, the easiest one to watch. So I watched it first. And but it is. It's the closest to our time.
It's you know, and
it
it's
reminded me a lot of like I love Goodfellas. Like it really did. It reminded me of those movies.
I feel like
it.
there's so much in Outrage that the more you watch it, the more fun you're gonna have. with
Yeah. No,
well,
I
that's like why I went immediately back and watched the beginning because you miss so many subtle interactions between everybody.
Once I kind of got the characters down pat. I mean, it took me probably like 20, 30 minutes.
Me too.
And then finally, once
Those
I realized
the names are tough.
Well, the names, but then once I realized who was on what team, you know, and what family. Once I got that, then I really started to enjoy it.
I agree.
And so I liked it.
I do think it feels a bit weird putting it at the top of the list because it does seem like you're rewarding a safer movie. But it's obviously on top of my list as well.
Well, it's also a Yakuza, theme, and in terms of coming away with a movie that makes me feel like I have seen the Yakuza, I felt more like I understood the Yakuza walking away from this.
If you put all three movies in front of me, and I, absolutely, this is the one that's gonna that has taught me the most about Yakuza. Right. The other two.
It was. I got.
Brandon to Kill. I got nothing.
Yeah, like on a quiz about the Yakuza, you'd have to. I feel like if you're in Japan and you know the Yakuza genre is like this popcorn type thing, then that might work better.
Yeah.
I will say this: Outrage made me want to go read more about the actual Yakuza and how
well, that's why I asked if this is a real deal.
I didn't do the reading yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, but see, I have heard though, like with stuff with like Goodfellas and the Mafia or Godfather, not Goodfellas, is that in a way the Mafia actually became life imitating art. Like they
became more like the
like
movie?
They were not as buttoned up or honor driven or like.
And then
as rules based, and then the movie came out, and they kind of started fashioning themselves after that. I don't know if that's true. I've heard that, so I didn't read that or anything. Nathan, what's your?
But mine was Tokyo Drifter, and that might be that I saw that a while ago, and that might be more of a nostalgia thing. But in terms of, it feels like such a big popcorn movie. Yeah, and I really like that. The type of the gangster thing that you don't feel like you've learned anything about the gangster world, but it feels like they took a gangster plot and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do learn. I think it does have a pretty good lesson just in that at the end of the day, everybody's out for themselves, especially in that world where there's not a lot of empathy or love or, actually caring for the well-being of other people going around in our sweet little Tetsu. Sweet little Tetsu.
Love him.
I can't stand a man who's not honor. I can't stand a man who has no duty.
And that song,
weird when you said that in English.
I love that song so much.
Oh, dude, how's it? Nathan, you want to sing it for us?
What was the?
If you think about, imagine the people yelling the words in English. It would make them sound like little petulant children.
That should be we should take like a crazy scene from Outrage and reenact it in English.
Have you guys heard of the first movie Woody Allen ever made? It's called What's Up Tiger Lily. He takes a Japanese Yakuza movie and he redoes the plot. He just voices over with him and some of his friends, and he changes the plot to trying to steal an infamous potato salad recipe.
No.
It is one of the funniest things because they do that. It's in English, and so they just dub it over with terms like, "How dare you? You know how much I love that recipe."
Oh, that's really good, dude. Oh, we don't need to see that. Except I don't know if we can. Can we support?
I don't know if
Woody
we can
Allen?
like Woody Allen.
I don't think we like Woody Allen.
I don't think he did anything wrong. He was like 20, so he was probably fine then.
Yeah. Well, you can appreciate somebody's work.
Annie Hall. I don't know. Annie Hall.
That's a weird thing, man. I've been actually struggling with that video game Kingdom Come Deliverance that I always talk about, separating a creator versus creation. Like when the creator does shitty stuff, like I actually feel bad that I've talked about that game publicly so much because I've come to learn that I don't really like the guy who made it.
Yeah.
But then again, there's plenty of people who work on that game, right? And in order for them to stay employed, they all have to have jobs. So I don't know how that works. That's a deeper conversation for another day. Well,
we talked about a Roman Polanski movie on Real Friends.
Which one?
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, shit. That's right. Damn. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
And he's the no. Look, I love Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, I think that's a very good
It's the
movie.
same thing. There's a lot of actors involved. There's a lot of other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you've got hundreds of people that are employed for their work there.
Yeah.
So what's your number one, T-Bob?
Well, I already said Outrage.
But
yeah, well,
but,
I just I piggybacked on yours.
Oh, cool.
I'm with
Cool.
you.
Come up with
Outrage.
an original
Yep.
thought.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I know we went way over time today. We weren't paying attention to the clock, but it's just so much fun sitting here talking movies with my real friends.
Aw.
Yeah. So, big thank you to Nathan Velasquez, Rivers Huey. I am T-Bob Abear, and we will have a new episode for you in 2 weeks, looking like Disney movies. Follow us on social media, and we will keep you updated. All right, everybody, take it easy.
Bye.